Welcome back to Be Productive. I am so excited because just as the show promises, we are talking about what it means to truly be productive because there's a huge difference between being busy and being productive. And to help me talk about some tips and strategies so that you can level up your own productivity, I have my friend Mark Lamplugh. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So, talking about being productive, there are so many different ways, and everybody has to sort of find their own rhythm to productivity. I would
Mhm.
love to hear from you. You are the CEO of a behavioral health organization. And so there are tons of moving parts in what you have to do each and every day. When it comes to productivity, what are some of the best strategies that you have used for yourself to help you stay productive?
Well, thanks for having me on the show. And, I guess I would say one of the biggest things that had, kept me being productive is just staying on a routine and schedule. And
Mhm.
that starts at the home. I'm a single father of a 3-year-old son who I've had since he was 1. So it's quite challenging, the mornings and getting them ready, to go to the nanny and then getting to work is just
Mhm.
making sure I'm staying on a schedule every day from the time I get up until the time I hit the bed. And I
Mhm.
have everything planned throughout the day, including my meetings, using my calendar, and just staying, really on top of a schedule. That's really one of
So
the,
true. And
yeah.
I'm really glad that you bring this up because this is something that I talk with people about every day. I am a firm believer in schedules like you, single mom since my son was about 1.5. So I understand exactly where you're coming from and the need for it. Being that I work with so many entrepreneurs, they fight me on this and they say, no, I got into being an entrepreneur because I want to have freedom and flexibility, and a schedule is so regimented. And my thought is that a schedule actually brings you freedom because
Mhm.
it allows you to really compartmentalize and make room for all the right things. So, it's easy to say we have a schedule, but what have you found that the schedule has done for you other than just letting you know when your meetings are? From sort of a mindset, energy, and then also what you can get done, what are some of the real tangible things that a schedule has allowed you to accomplish?
Well, I don't just use the schedule for meetings. I also use it for tasks, to send notifications of when I'm supposed to do turn something in, or where,
Mhm.
where when I have to be somewhere, for a moment. I got to pay a bill, for everything,
Mhm.
not just for meetings. And another thing, I don't really think it traps you to the schedule because the schedule's, pretty much ever changing. And it was just today, for instance, I was doing so much in the office that I make it a point to check my drafts in my email. And I had like 9 draft emails, of emails that I started that I got sidetracked. Somebody came in, I had to do something else. So I always make sure I go back every maybe hour or two just to go through my drafts to make sure I get everything sent out that I was doing. So, it's not necessarily just a calendar, but it's, having tasks in place that you do, that's a routine that keeps you on top of the things that you need to do. Because I get pulled in 100 different directions
Yeah,
every
for sure.
hour.
Exactly. So, talking about that, one of the things that I oftentimes people do with the schedule is they overbook themselves. They overcommit. They don't leave any buffer zone. Do you find that it's been helpful for you to leave a little bit of time between meetings, to give you that extra space? Do you just pack things up against each other? What are some of the best strategies for keeping your schedule successful?
I try to time limit everything, based on what the meeting is. If I know it's going to be quick, it might be a 10-minute schedule. If it's going to be a half hour, if they're recurring, I kind of learn the length that certain tasks would take me, or meetings or calls, and then I plan accordingly. And there's always some free time in those days, for other things. I mean, you're not really filling up completely.
Right. So let's talk nitty gritty here. You have your day put together, you have everything put into place, just like the game Tetris. And then something comes up that's going to pull you off the schedule. How do you make those adjustments for when the unexpected comes up?
I will obviously email. If I have to reschedule something, I email everybody and let them know that I can't make it. I have to reschedule the appointment.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, mostly it's, things like that. If it's something that I have to get done, then I'll, plan to move other things around. It's really just day by day and trying to determine
Hmm.
what needs to get done or prioritized and what
Yep.
can be pushed off.
That's that key word there, prioritization,
Hmm.
because you could have the best laid plans, but new things are going to come up. And so, what I always tell people is, even though you have the structure of the schedule, you have to also allow for the flexibility because that's life and
Hmm.
that's going to happen. And you have to be able to pivot. And as a CEO, that's part of the game is, you're the leader. You have to be able to address these things as they come up. And that's what makes a strong leader is understanding it's not always about following things. You have to sometimes pivot and be flexible to address the things that come together. So you mentioned email. Are there any other technologies that you use or that you think are helpful for people in helping them to manage their time, block distractions, or just again, sort of stay on top of things?
Sure. So yes, there is, and I would say a lot of today the technology falls in all pretty much all aspects of the business. And what I mean by that is, if you, we use a lot of different things for how we run our facility.
Mhm.
So starting from the first call, we use a phone system that integrates with our CRM. That way there, some of that information can transfer over. Our CRM then integrates with our EMR.
Mhm.
So there's services that work as softwares and things like that. And when you're planning out projects at your business or personally, look for applications that talk to each other. That way, there you can minimize the time it takes. You don't have to redo certain steps two, three, four times, and you can save a
Mhm.
lot of time that way. And I pretty much, make sure that's a mandatory thing that I look at when I'm implementing something.
Yeah. Using those systems and leveraging things like a CRM, is so critical and having those systems. So again, you can duplicate the responses. It may seem so minimal because it only shaves a minute off. But when you think you have to do that several times a week, all that time starts adding up.
Mhm.
Now, as a CEO, you have got to delegate things. And delegation is really hard for people because they have that mindset of, oh, it only takes a few minutes. I can do it easier myself than telling somebody else. Or, I'm the boss. I should do this. What are some of the things that have helped you to learn how to delegate? And if you were talking with one of your team members, maybe one of your managers or team leaders, and they were struggling with this, how do you encourage people to understand the power of letting go so that you can do more in your role?
It's funny that you bring this up because it was something I was just talking about earlier because that was like one of my biggest things that I had to work on myself.
Mhm.
Because if I came upon a task, I would try to do everything
Yep.
to the point where a lot of things were getting pushed aside and maybe not getting done in an efficient amount of time. So I've personally got really good at giving the things off that others that I know are qualified in my company to do, whatever department that may be, or the task, or what have you, is turning those things over. And I have been doing a really good job of that lately. And it was just brought up to me today by, some of the.
It's one of those skill sets we have to keep learning over and over again. So, and I
I think
appreciate
that
you
really
being so
comes down
open.
to trust. It comes down to
Exactly.
making sure you can trust the people that you work with,
Hmm.
and having good hires, and when you're involved in the hiring process and you get to interview those people and then you start them, you have a better relationship because you can see their performance and know that if you give them a task, they're going to do it.
Exactly. And that's again part of being a good leader is bringing in people and empowering them to level up and do their best in their area.
Mhm.
And that way everybody gets to do their best. So, Mark, this has been great. And I appreciate you really giving us some hands on strategies because I think people really struggle with this. And again, being productive is different than being busy. And we want to be able to, again, get more done and work smarter. So, tell us a little bit more about you and your company. What is it that you do and where can people find you?
Like I am the CEO of South Jersey Treatment Management Company. It's based in South Jersey. We have a substance use disorder treatment center in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. We have a mental health outpatient center in West Deptford. We're currently opening a counseling center in Marlton, New Jersey, and a detox as well, addiction treatment detox center in New Jersey. And I have a website, marklamplu.com, and then the company's website is sjtmc.com.
Amazing. Well, you are just doing remarkable things, and I honor you and your company for being able to bring more awareness to wellness and helping people get stronger. So,
Thank,
thank you so much for what you're doing, and thank you for being here with us today. And
thank
for
you.
all of you that are watching, I hope that you took some great notes. I hope you have a new insight on the power of scheduling and delegating and what you can do to help you be productive. Stay tuned because we'll be back for more.
Thank you.